How about it, y'all? You got Hawg. Thanks for stopping by. I'm your Southern Diablo 4 resource. Y'all, we got a big data mine that just came out. It's all the legendary items, all the aspects, all the uniques, the Paragon boards, the trees, the nodes, everything we've been wanting to know. It's been mined. It's here. So, I've been going through this. People in my community posted about it in my Discord last night, and a lot of people don't want the spoilers. So if you don't want to know anything about the items, what you're going to see come June 6th, I recommend go ahead and clicking off right now. If you do want to know what you expecting to see, I'm going to go through all the character uniques, and there's every character has 8 uniques except for the Barbarian. He has 9. And then there's 13 generic uniques. I'm not going to go over those. I got to leave a little bit to be wanted. I'm going to go over those in another video, but I just wanted to show you real quick. I'm going to leave a link to this in the description. But yeah, it's kind of janky, as you see. It's kind of crazy. So I've actually taken the time, narrowed it down. I put it on XD, so we can actually overlook everything without having to comb through all this code. So let's look at that. All right, so let's start with the barb stuff. Okay, we got 9 versus 8 for everybody else. The weapons, we've got a couple different weapons. We got Romulandius Magnum Opus. That's a one-handed sword. Skills using this weapon deal a % increased damage per point of fury you have, but you lose a certain amount of fury every second. We got Ancient's Oath. That's a two-handed axe. Steel Grasp launches 2 additional chains. Enemies hit by Steel Grasp are slowed by a certain percentage for a certain amount of seconds. That's going to be dependent on the item's actual power. Hellhammer, it's a two-handed mace. Upheaval ignites the ground, burning enemies for additional % damage over additional seconds. Some of these codings are kind of confusing for old rednecks, so don't crucify me too hard if you see a mistake in some of these. Mistakes will happen sometimes. The Overkill's two-handed mace. Death Blow creates a shockwave, dealing 16 to 30%. So that's the range that it could roll of its base damage to enemies. Enemies who die to this effect also reset the cooldown. That's pretty cool mace there. Not all of these are going to be fantastic because it is a Diablo game. So, Fields of Crimson, two-handed sword. While using this weapon, damaging at least one enemy with Rupture creates a blood pool that inflicts 8% bleeding damage over a certain amount of seconds. Enemies standing in the pool take 10% bleeding damage. Okay, that's pretty cool. Battle Trance Amulet. Increase Frenzy's maximum stacks by 10. While you have maximum Frenzy, your other skills gain plus 10 to 20% increased attack speed. That's pretty kick-ass right there. You got boots that are called 100,000 Steps. After gaining final damage bonus from the Walking Arsenal key passive, you automatically cast Ground Stomp and gain 32 to 50 Fury. This cannot happen more than once every 30 seconds. I'm pretty sure it's 32 to 50 Fury. That's how I interpreted that code. So don't crucify me too bad if that's not right. I'm pretty sure that's right. Then you got a chest piece called Rage of Harrogath. Up to a 10% chance to reduce the cooldowns of your non-ultimate skills by 20 to 40 seconds when you inflict bleeding on elites. So, if you've set up to bleed, if you're a bleed barb, then you're probably going to reset your non-ultimate skills all the time. Sound like that's a pretty badass chest armor, actually. And then the last one, you got Gore's Devastating Grips. Those are gloves. Whirlwind explodes after it ends, dealing 50 to 70% of the total base damage dealt to surrounding enemies as fire. So that's probably going to... I know a lot of people were saying Whirlwind was not that strong. That's probably going to make Whirlwind pretty strong right there. Alright, so now we got Druid, and... yeah, I'm really happy to be a Druid player. Sorry. I know everyone was talking about how shitty the Druid was. Druid sucks. This is the most trash player out there. No, it's not. Alright, check this out. So we got the Waxing Gibbons. It's a one-handed axe. You gain stealth for 10 seconds when you kill enemies with Shred. Okay, Shred's a werewolf ability. Breaking stealth with an attack grants ambush, which guarantees critical strikes for 1 to 2.5 seconds. That's your roll range. That's pretty badass. Great Staff of the Crone. That's a two-handed staff. Claw is now a storm skill and casts Storm Strike at 120 to 150% of the normal damage. Whew. So you're going to start seeing that werewolves take a storm skill and werebears take a earth skill. Mad Wolf's Glee, that's a piece of chest armor. Werewolf form is now your true form, which means perma werewolf. You gain +2 to all werewolf skills. Jumping Jehoshaphat. So you've got the Mad Wolf's Glee and the Insatiable Fury. The Insatiable Fury is the same thing except for werebear form. So you got a werewolf and a werebear perma all the time. Tempest Roar Helm. This is a lucky hit kind of item. Your storm skills have a 15 to 25% chance to grant 3 spirit. Your base storm skills are now also werewolf skills. So you're starting to see what I was talking about. You're going to end up as a druid where you're most likely you're never not a shapeshifter. Next we got Vastley's Prayer. It's a helm. Your earth skills are now also werebear skills and fortify you for 10. Storm's Companion are your some breeches. Wolf Companions are infused with the power of the storm, dealing lightning damage and gaining the Storm Howl ability. So stacking up your companions. And then your ring is called Hunter's Zenith. Gain a bonus when you kill with a shape-shifting skill. Werebear, your next werewolf skill will heal you for 10 when damage is first dealt. Or in werewolf form, your next non-ultimate werebear skill costs no resource and no cooldown. I think there's going to be a little dance between what werewolf and werebear skills you want to keep on your tree. I'm really excited. Those items are kick-ass. Now, we haven't even gone into all of the legendaries for each character. I mean, there's like 40 legendaries that pair with all these other characters. These are just the uniques that we hadn't seen yet. Going into Necromancer. I tried to play Necro. I'm not a real big fan, but, you know, I know a lot of guys loved it, and I don't know how y'all gonna feel about the items, so after I read these off, let me know in the comments if you're still excited. So you got a one-handed side that's called Black River, Jesus. Corpse Explosion consumes up to 9 additional corpses around the initial corpse, dealing 122 to 130% increased damage with a 21 to 25% larger radius per additional corpse. Now, that 21 to 25%, it could be 2.1 per additional corpse. You're going to have to check it out yourself and see if I misunderstood that, but I know it consumes 9 additional corpses, and that 122 to 130 is pretty nice. So all of those are, I feel like this one's going to be kind of hard to roll, to get everything as max as it can be, but Bloodless Scream, Two-Handed Scythe, your darkness skills chill enemies for up to 5%. So your lucky skills have a 5% chance to generate 3 additional essence against frozen targets. So that's pretty neat too. That'll help you regenerate some essence. I know a lot of people were complaining about resource generation for a lot of the characters. We're going to see that built in a lot of these items, I believe. You got an amulet called Death's Speaker's Pendant. Blood Surge casts a mini nova on your minions, dealing X amount of damage. Again, it's based on your item power. Damage is increased by 5% per target drained by the initial cast, up to 10 to 15%. That's a roll. Greaves of the Earthly Tomb, that's a pair of boots. Create desecrated ground beneath your Sever Specters as they travel, damaging enemies for X amount of shadow damage over 6 seconds. Again, based on item power. Blood Artisan's Cuirass, that's a piece of chest armor. When you pick up 5 blood orbs, a free bone spear is spawned. Dealing bonus damage based on your current life percent. So I guess you're going to make sure you... Blood orbs. Oh, that's your, those are your potion orbs. Okay. So you want to try to keep your life up at all times, I guess. Howl from Below, gloves. Instead of detonating immediately, Corpse Explosion summons Volatile Skeleton that charges at a random enemy and explodes. Corpse explosions damage is increased by 30 to 40%. Hey, that's pretty neat. That's a little variant on corpse explosion. It summons a skeleton to run at them instead of just blowing up on the ground. It's a little variation. Deathless Visage. That's a helm for you to wear. Bone Spear leaves behind echoes as it travels that explode, dealing X amount of damage. Interesting. Okay. Did anyone play Bone Spear? Let me know in the comments if you did. I'm curious how it was. I know they tried to rework it for D3. A ring you've got is the Ring of Mendelin. While you have 10 or more minions, you gain Lucky Hit up to a 4% chance to empower all your minions, causing the next attack from each to explode for X amount of physical damage, whatever your item power is. Pretty interesting, to say the least. And then we got Rogue. I have a feeling y'all are going to be pretty happy, Rogue players. Condemnation is a one-handed dagger. Your core skills deal 10% increased damage when spending 3 combo points. Your basic skills using this weapon have a 20 to 40% chance to generate 3 combo points. So that's pretty cool. Now, I'm pretty sure on that 10%, it might be higher. I might have not interpreted that 100% correctly, but I'm pretty sure it's 10. Ashiris Kanar, one-handed dagger. Hits with this weapon and increase your attack speed by 8% for 4 seconds, up to 8 seconds. So, 8 seconds with increased attack speed. You know that Rogue's going to be all about attack speed. You got Sky Hunter, two-handed bow. The first direct damage you deal to an enemy is a guaranteed critical strike. If you had maximum stacks of the Precision Key passive when you cast the skill, you gain 10 to 25 energy. This can only happen once per cast. Okay, neat. Guaranteed crit strikes are always nice. So then you got the OG bow coming up with the Wind Force. Two-handed bow, obviously. Lucky Hit is the affix. Hits with this weapon have a 20% chance to deal double damage and knock back the target. So the original Wind Force in Diablo 2 was just like a knockback effect. This one's got double damage and knockback. That's pretty badass. You got an Amulet, Word of the Hakan. Your rain arrows is always imbued with all imbuements at once. So I know my boy Diablo was running with rain arrows and was talking about how awesome it was. Well, now we get all of that at once. I know he's going to be happy about that. The Grasp of Shadow Gloves. Damage a vulnerable enemy with a marksman or cutthroat skill has a 20 to 30% chance to summon a shadow clone that mimics your attacks. So we're seeing shadow clones coming back in, except this time with the Rogue. So, neato skeeto. Cal of the Nameless. I'm liking these names. They're not too ridiculous. They're just right to me. They sound just like Diablo items should. This is a helm that you gain 15 to 25% increased lucky hit chance against crowd control enemies. This lucky hit chance is something new that we're seeing, and I think we're all going to have to get used to what it does and if it's good or bad or if we really like it or not. Eyes in the Dark, Breeches. Unless it hits a boss or player, Death Trap will continue to rearm itself until it kills an enemy. However, its cooldown is increased by 10 to 30%. That's your roll on that. Alright, so last one is Sorceress. Again, 8 of these. I really don't know what to think of these. I don't think they're too great. I think I'm probably not going to have a lot of playing time on the Sorceress, at least for a little while, till maybe seasons come out. But we got a one-handed wand to start off with. The name of it is Flame Scar. While channeling Incinerate, you periodically shoot embers that are attracted to enemies, dealing X amount of fire damage. I played with Incinerate. I liked that skill, and I was playing with burning damage, and I think that's going to be one of the secrets to doing a lot of damage with fire, is making sure your burning damage is all stacked together and all. So that might be something that comes into play. You got a two-handed staff called Staff of the Endless Rage. Every third cast of Fireball launches 2 additional projectiles. That's pretty cool. Staff of Lam Essen is another two-handed staff. Charge bolts pierce, but they deal 10 to 40% less damage. So that can be a roll right there. Esidora's Overflowing Cameo. That's an amulet. Upon collecting crackling energy, there's a 40% chance to release a lightning nova. That lightning nova deals 100% lightning damage. Um, it said it was a fixed damage number. So I'm not 100% positive if that's 100 or if it's a percentage times 100 or something weird like that, but that's what I got up there. Esu's Heirloom, that's a pair of boots. Your critical strike chance is increased by 10 to 25% of your movement speed bonus. Um, wow. So that could probably be a really powerful item if you've got a lot of movement speed stacked up there. Raiment of the Infinite is a chest piece. After using teleport, close enemies are pulled to you and stunned for 2 to 3 seconds, but teleport's cooldown is increased by 10 seconds. You got some gloves called Glove of the Illuminator. Fireball now bounces as it travels, exploding each time it hits the ground, but its explosion deals 65 to 75% less damage. So again, I'm about 90% sure on them numbers there. Pretty positive on that number, but that could be 6 to 7.5% less damage. So again, if you know for sure in the comments, if you've looked at it, let me know if I'm wrong, but it's hard for this old boy to read code sometimes. Ice Heart Braze, Pants. Enemies that die while frozen have a 11 to 20% chance to unleash a Frost Nova. I personally have never really been a fan of those kind of items to where you kill something and it unleashes a Frost Nova. Like, yeah, it's gonna freeze everything, but like I want something to do more damage. You know, I don't really care for things like that. But um, y'all, there's literally I showed you earlier. There's like 40 legendaries for every class, and there's 13 more uniques that aren't on here. That's just anybody can get. So I highly recommend that you go check it out. Like I said, links in the description down there, and go see for yourself. I don't want to give everything away, and I reckon I'll go over those other items in a day or two. But I just wanted to get this out. We do have the data breach. It is there. Um, I wanted to know immediately what I'm looking into. It will tell you some of the Paragon skills that you can unlock. Um, Guys, the game is going to be killer. That's all I got to say. There's a lot of different options to give you a lot of different badass builds. But anyway, I'm not going to ramble on about that. We're done with the topic we got to talk about today. If you need a badass Discord to run with, the link to mine, the House of Hawg, is in the description below, as well as a link to my Patreon if you want to be a supporter to the channel. Big shout out to my supporters, Eros and Ava in the Andes. Thank y'all so much. And we're going to sign off here. Stay tuned for more Diablo 4 content from your Southern Diablo 4 resource. We'll see you next time.